What's up, Legacy Shinobi fam? Get ready for an epic tale. What if Naruto was the reincarnation of Tobirama Senju? This is the story of a reborn legend. Welcome to Legacy Shinobi. If you're excited for this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Now, let's dive in. Prologue, Valley of the End. Third-person POV. The air reeked of iron and lightning. Tobirama Senju stood at the edge of the Valley of the End, his breath ragged as the Kinkaku squad closed in. Blood seeped through the gashes in his armor, mingling with the river's froth below. Behind him, the retreating footsteps of his students echoed. Live, he willed them, even as his own fate crystallized. Foolish mortal, a voice hissed, not from the enemy, but from the air itself. The Shinigami's spectral form coiled above the battlefield, its clawed fingers tracing the edges of Tobirama's flickering chakra. You cling to legacy, yet your heirs will destroy each other. A fitting end for a hypocrite who preached sacrifice. Tobirama bared his teeth, hands weaving the final seals. Water surged from the falls, forming a vortex around him. Konoha will endure, he growled. The Kinkaku squad lunged, blades glinting, but his roar drowned their war cries. Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu, the dragon of water devoured them all, enemies, terrain, and himself. As his body dissolved, the Shinigami's laughter pierced the void. Let us test your conviction. Its scythe split Tobirama's soul, one shard hurtling east to Konoha, the other west to Kiri. In a rain-soaked orphanage, infant Naruto's cries pierced the night. His whiskers flickered blue, a ghostly echo of Tobirama's chakra, as the fourth Hokage's seal coiled around his tiny belly. Kurama's malevolent chakra flared, then stilled, as if sensing the Senju's presence within the boy. Far away, in Kiri's blood-mist prisons, a girl with a cursed seal scowled at the moon. Ami's first breath was a snarl. The Shinigami's voice lingered, poison in the wind. Begin, little vessels. The seal on Naruto's stomach pulsed once, blue light bleeding into Kurama's crimson. A fusion of Senju water and Uzumaki chains. Chapter 1. The Orphanage Prodigy. Konoha Orphanage, Naruto POV. The other children called it the Dead Room. Naruto's corner of the orphanage was always cold, even in summer. Crayon drawings of frogs and ramen bowls littered the floor, but today, his fingers moved differently. They scraped charcoal across parchment in sharp, precise lines. Barriers within barriers, a lattice of seals he didn't understand. The matron had hissed at him to stop wasting paper, but the memory itch in his skull wouldn't relent. Tobirama's voice, faint but stern, a three-layered defense. Prioritize the northeast quadrant. Freak! A boy spat from the doorway. Naruto didn't look up. He knew their faces, the tightened lips, the way their eyes skittered away from his. Dead eyes, they whispered, like the second Hokage's. Hiruzen found him at dusk. The third Hokage's pipe smoke curled around the orphanage's dusty shelves as he studied Naruto's seal sketches. The boy sat stiffly, fists clenched under the table. He didn't trust the old man's smile. Smiles always hid knives. You've inherited remarkable talents, Hiruzen said carefully. A Senju scroll peeked from his sleeve, Tobirama's handwriting. Guilt thickened his voice. Let me teach you to wield them. For Konoha, Naruto almost said yes. Then he saw the matron flinch when his gaze met hers. Why? He muttered. I'm just a weapon to you too, right? Hiruzen's breath hitched. The bridge shattered at moonrise. It happened when three older boys cornered him by the river, mocking his zombie stare. Naruto's chest burned, not anger, colder. His hands moved on their own, weaving signs that turned the river into a blade. Suiton, Suryuha, the water-severing wave sheared the wooden bridge in half, plunging his tormentors into the rapids. They scrambled ashore, screaming. Naruto stared at his palms, numb. Tobirama's voice boomed in his skull. Adequate. Now eliminate the witnesses. Across the river, a silver-haired Jonin materialized in a swirl of leaves. Kakashi's Sharingan flickered, capturing the moment. The boy with the Hokage's eyes and a dead man's jutsu. From the shadows, Danzo watched Hiruzen kneel to check Naruto's pulse. Sentiment weakens us both, he murmured, fingers brushing the bandaged eye that hid his stolen Sharingan. The boy will be Root's blade. Chapter 2. Academy Rivalry. Konoha Academy. Sasuke POV. Irika's voice trembled as he wrote Uchiha Massacre on the chalkboard. Sasuke's pencil snapped. The tragedy Irika began. Was a coup prevented by Itachi Uchiha's loyalty to Konoha? Incorrect. Every head swiveled to Naruto. He leaned against the windowsill, sunlight glinting off his unervingly steady blue eyes. His tone was detached, analytical, like a general dissecting a failed campaign. The Uchiha compound's position in the northeast sector made containment inefficient. A strategic blunder. If they'd secured the armory first, the outcome might have differed. Sasuke's Sharingan flickered awake. You dare? Fact, Naruto interrupted, tapping a map of old Konoha. Your clan's pride blinded them to terrain disadvantages. Tobirama's journals confirm it. The classroom froze. Sakura's chair screeched as she stood. Stop it, Naruto. You're not one of his cold-hearted Senju. Naruto blinked, as if startled by his own words. I didn't mean. Sasuke's fist collided with his jaw. Aftermath. Tintin found the scroll in the Academy's dusty archives, its seal glowing cerulean as Naruto passed by. She tucked it into her weapon pouch, ignoring the librarian's glare. Senju script, she realized, tracing the characters. Water-based chakra arrays. Need a sparring partner? She asked Naruto later, dangling the scroll. His eyes narrowed. Recognition? Fear? But he nodded. In the ANBU tunnels, a masked agent bowed to Danzo. The Kiri vessel is ready. Danzo unrolled a blueprint. Ami's curse seal, modeled after Tobirama's DNA. Good. Let the Second's heirs rip each other apart. Chapter 3. Team 7's Fractured Trust. Training Ground 7. Kakashi POV. Kakashi's Sharingan tracked 3 Narutos charging through the mist. 2 coordinated. The boys' clones moved not with wild abandon, but in staggered formations, flanking, feinting, herding Kakashi toward the river. Water clone decoys, Kakashi realized, their chakra rippling with the same cold precision as the Second Hokage's famed tactics. A memory surfaced, Minato laughing as a younger Naruto, his Naruto, face-planted mid-clone jutsu. Your predictable sensei. The clones droned in unison. Their voices lacked the original's rasp, sharpened to a strategist's edge. Tobirama's scrolls detailed your preference for mid-range combat. Kakashi's kunai clashed against a water-forged blade. And you're not the first Senju I've fought, he countered, but his chest tightened. Minato's son should have been all sunshine and reckless taunts. Not this calculus. Sakura's scream split the air. One clone had pinned her to a tree, its hand hovering near her throat. Eliminate the liability, it advised, tone clinical. The real Naruto stood motionless atop a boulder, eyes vacant. Sakura thrashed, tears streaking her face. And Naruto, stop. This isn't a real battle. It's always real, he murmured. His irises flickered blue, a flash of Tobirama's ghost in the daylight. Kakashi's fist shattered the clone into a spray of droplets. He gripped Naruto's shoulder, forcing the boy to meet his gaze. Your father would have died before harming a teammate. Naruto tilted his head, eerily calm. Sentiment gets Shinobi killed. That night, Kakashi stood before Hiruzen's desk, the Hokage's pipe smoke curling like funeral incense. He's becoming the second, Kakashi reported. Outside, thunder rumbled. Or maybe it was Kurama's growl, echoing Naruto's fractured soul. Chapter 4. Ami's ruthless debut. Land of Iron. Danzo POV. Danzo's scalpel glinted under the lab's sterile light as he pressed Tobirama's DNA into the girl's spine. Ami convulsed on the operating table, her screams muffled by Root's restraints. You are the second shadow, Danzo intoned, brushing his bandaged eye, the stolen Sharingan, as her cursed seal flared crimson. Now rise and drown Kiri in his legacy. Ami's irises hardened to slate gray, the same frigid hue as Tobirama's ghost. She raised her hand, and the air thickened with the stench of rot. Suiton, Kurokusui no Jutsu. Dark sucking water erupted from her palm, devouring the Kiri patrol. Their bodies crumpled like parchment, chakra drained into Ami's seal. Danzo watched, impassive, as she carved Tobirama's clan symbol into the mud, framing Naruto. Miles away, in Konoha, Naruto collapsed mid-spar with Tintin, clawing at his skull. His whiskers pulsed crimson, mirroring Ami's seal. She's inside my mind, he gasped, visions of Kiri's massacre flooding his thoughts. Like a shadow I can't shake, Tintin gripped his trembling hands, her Senju scroll glowing in reaction. Fight it, dead last. You're not him. In the land of iron, Ami stared at her reflection in a bloodied puddle. Naruto's face flickered in the water, his voice echoing, "We're not weapons." She smashed the puddle with a snarl, but not before Danzo noted her hesitation. Chapter 5. Shattered Minds. Forest of Death, Gaara POV. The trees whispered with the ghosts of Gaara's victims. Sand coiled around his fists like a serpent, itching to crush the next fool who dared meet his gaze. Across the clearing, Naruto stood motionless, his eyes glinting with a cold, analytical light that made Shikaku stir uneasily. "Your father feared you," Naruto said, voice devoid of malice, clinical, dissecting. "He sealed Shikaku into a child because he lacked the spine to kill you himself." Pathetic. Gaara's sand erupted in a frenzy. "Silence!" Naruto sidestepped the attack, water pooling at his feet. "I've studied Tobirama's logs on Jinchuriki. Your control is sloppy, emotional." He pointed to Gaara's trembling hands. "If I were your father, you'd have died in your crib." Shikaku's roar echoed in Gaara's skull, but deeper still, a memory. The fourth Kazekage's eyes, wide with terror as he locked the seal. Weakness. Ami's cursed seal burned suddenly, crimson light bleeding through Gaara's gourd. Naruto staggered, clutching his own wrist where twin marks flickered. From the shadows, Orochimaru's tongue slithered over his lips. "Ah, so the second's heirs do sing to one another." Gaara lunged, sand morphing into claws. "I am not weak, aren't you?" Naruto's water clones surged, each reciting Tobirama's tactical axioms. "Defensive formations here, offense here. Your sand's pattern is predictable." The clones dissolved into torrents, drenching Gaara's defenses. For the first time, his sand sagged. Naruto's knees buckled as Tobirama's voice thundered in his mind. "Weakness gets you killed." Gaara's sand recoiled, revealing raw terror beneath. But Orochimaru was already gone, Ami's seal still smoldering like a promise. Chapter 6. Danzo's Shadow War. Hokage Tower. Tsunade POV. The council chamber reeked of bitter almonds. Tsunade's fist slammed into the table, cracking the Uchiha crest engraved in its surface. Councilman Mitokado slumped forward, froth staining his beard, as Danzo's cane tapped a slow, merciless rhythm. "Senju instability," Danzo declared, gesturing to the twitching bodies. "The boy's madness has poisoned us all." Tsunade's chakra flared, green light spilling from her palms as she scanned the room. Deadly nightshade, undetectable unless mixed with Senju chakra. Her eyes narrowed. "You planted it in Naruto's training scrolls." A memory surfaced, Hiruzen's voice, weary from a decade of regret. "Danzo covets the second's legacy. He'll twist it into a weapon." Shikamaru materialized at her side, shadow tendrils pinning Danzo's root agents. "The antidote now?" Danzo smiled. "You've always sentimentalized monsters, Tsunade." Danzo's bandages unraveled, revealing the stolen Sharingan. Izanagi. Reality warped, wooden beams splintered, the tower dissolving into the Shinigami's void. Naruto's scream echoed as Danzo's voice faded. "Let the second judge his heir." Chapter 7. The Price of Souls. Shinigami's Realm. Naruto/Ami POV. The void pulsed like a rotten heart. Naruto's knees buckled as the Shinigami's laughter echoed, its skeletal fingers clawing at the air. Ami stood beside him, her cursed seal bleeding crimson light into the gloom. Their shared chakra flickered, a dying campfire. "Your father, Tobirama, begged just like you," the Shinigami crooned, its voice a blade scraping bone. A vision seared into Naruto's mind. Tobirama, bleeding out at the Valley of the End, snarling defiance as the Shinigami carved his soul apart. He, too, thought sacrifice could outweigh death. Ami's breath hitched. "It's the same as his final stand," she whispered, clutching her seal. Naruto's whiskers flared blue in response, Tobirama's chakra recoiling at the memory. Ami's choice. She stepped forward, dark water swirling around her fists. "You want a vessel?" she spat at the Shinigami. "Take me." "Ami, don't." Naruto lunged, but her seal erupted, chains of black water spearing the void. "Swaitun." Kurokyusui no Jutsu. The same technique Danzo had forced into her veins, now turned against their jailer. The Shinigami hissed as the water corroded its form. Foolish girl, you'll burn alive. I know, Ami said, glancing at Naruto. But he's not like Tobirama. Naruto's gambit. Tobirama's ghost snarled in his mind. Merge us. Now. Kurama's growl vibrated through Naruto's ribs. You'll shatter, idiot. Naruto plunged his hand into his chest, threads of Senju blue and Uzumaki red intertwining. Then we shatter together. The fusion erupted, a maelstrom of water and chains. The Shinigami screamed as its realm cracked. But Naruto's veins lit like live wires, fissures spiderwebbing across his skin. Chakra network fracturing. Ami collapsed, her body dissolving into ash. Live, she mouthed. The Shinigami's form scattered, but its laughter lingered. You've only delayed the inevitable. Naruto crumpled, Tobirama's voice fading into static. His vision blurred. White hair, bloodied hands, Kurama's panicked roar. Somewhere, a seal snapped. Chapter 8. Tintin's Gambit. Konoha Hospital. Tintin POV. The Senju scroll burned in Tintin's hands, its edges charred from hours of failed seals. Naruto lay motionless on the hospital bed, his new white hair stark against the sterile sheets. The cracks in his chakra network pulsed like fractured lightning. Reverse the polarity, she muttered, recalling Tobirama's journals. Her brush trembled as she inked the final array. Water and chains intertwined, mirroring the hybrid emblem on Naruto's discarded cloak. Kurama's growl rumbled through the room. You'll kill him faster, girl, the fox warned. Tintin pressed the seal to Naruto's chest. Or save him. Either way, move. The reversal. The room flooded with cerulean light. Ami's ghost materialized at the foot of the bed, her cursed seal dissolving into mist. She smiled. Not the sharp, pained twist Danzo had carved into her, but something softer. Pride, Tintin realized, like Tobirama's final smirk in the prologue's vision. Naruto gasped, his eyes snapping open. One blue, one Kurama red. The cracks in his skin sealed, leaving jagged white scars. Tintin? His voice was raw, but his hand found hers. Your scroll worked. Of course it did, she lied, ignoring the blood dripping from her nose. I'm not letting Danzo win. The hospital doors exploded. Danzo stood framed in smoke, Hiruzen's burnt journals clutched in his grip. Behind him, root agents draped the Hokage Tower in black. Konoha's new era begins, he declared, Sharingan eyes glowing. The Second's legacy is mine. Chapter 9. Konoha's Civil War. Konoha Streets, Sakura POV. Blood slicked the cobblestones. Sakura's palms glowed green as she knelt beside a child, her chakra stitching torn muscle. The girl's whimpers merged with the cacophony of battle, clashing steel, roaring flames, and the snap of Naruto's teleportation seals. Stay still, Sakura murmured, forcing a smile. The child's eyes widened, not at her, but at the white-haired blur streaking overhead. Naruto. His flying thunder god kunai zipped through the air, clones materializing in Danzo's shadow. A memory surfaced. Naruto at 6, hunched in the orphanage corner, sketching barriers to shut out the world. Back then, his cold precision scared her. Now, it was Konoha's lifeline. Danzo's last stand. Naruto flickered behind Danzo, water blade poised. Your roots end here, he snarled, voice layered with Tobirama's gravelly timbre. Danzo's Sharingan spun, Izanagi rewriting his death again. But Naruto's clones had already tagged every root agent. They erupted in bursts of water, disarming the squad. You think this is victory? Danzo spat, clutching Hiruzen's scorched journals. Tobirama's shadow outlives. Naruto's blade pierced his chest. White hair flared blue as Senju chakra surged. A final, searing strike. Danzo crumpled, laughter bubbling through blood. Tobirama's shadow outlives us all. His Sharingan dimmed, the journals disintegrating to ash. Naruto swayed, cracks reopening in his chakra network. Sakura lunged, but Kakashi reached him first. Stay with me, dead last, he ordered. But Naruto's eyes were fixed on the Hokage Tower, where Tintin's signal flares painted the sky red. Chapter 10. The Final Seal. Shinigami's Altar. Naruto POV. The altar pulsed like an open wound. Naruto's white hair whipped in the chakra storm, Tobirama's soul clawing at his ribs. The Shinigami loomed, its scythe forged from Ami's cursed chains and his own fractured chakra. "You cannot sever us," Tobirama's ghost snarled, water surging around Naruto's fists. "I am your blood, and I'm not your weapon," Naruto roared. Behind him, Tintin's spear blazed with reversed seals, the same spirals he'd scribbled as a child in the orphanage, now refined into lethal grace. "Now, dead last," she shouted, hurling the spear. It pierced the Shinigami's chest, its tip glowing with the hybrid Senju Uzumaki emblem. The severing, Naruto plunged his hand into his chest, fingers closing around Tobirama's spectral form. Ami's voice echoed through the void, gentle as a titapool. "Let go." The Shinigami's scythe fractured. "You defy destiny?" "No," Naruto said, tearing Tobirama's soul free. "I'm making my own." Blue light erupted. The Shinigami's howl shook the realm as its mark crumbled from Naruto's palm. Naruto collapsed, Tintin's arms catching him. His whiskers dimmed to faded orange, no longer Senju blue. But deep in his gut, Kurama stirred uneasily. "The seal's gone," the fox growled. "But it isn't finished." Above them, the altar's rubble shifted. Epilogue, Legacy of Balance. Hokage Rock, third-person POV. The dawn painted Konoha in gold as Naruto stood atop Hokage Rock, his cloak rippling in the wind. The crowd below hushed, farmers, shinobi, orphans from the rebuilt shelter, all craning to hear the boy who'd been a weapon, a vessel, and now a bridge. "Konoha isn't just a village," he began, voice carrying Tobirama's crisp enunciation softened by Kushina's lilt. "It's the kid who shares their last bread roll. The squad who argues over tactics but bleeds as one." His finger tapped the hybrid emblem on his cloak, Senju waves cradling Uzumaki spirals. "We don't erase our past. We build on it." Tintin leaned against the cliffside, her spear glowing faintly with the same fused seals that had shattered the Shinigami. She smirked as Naruto fumbled with his cloak's clasp post-speech. "Still need someone to handle the paperwork," she said, straightening the fabric with a tug. He grinned, the scarred cracks along his jawline crinkling. "And stab gods for me." Later, they stood at Tobirama's grave. Naruto placed a single scroll beside the headstone, childhood sketches of barrier seals, now annotated with Tintin's improvements. A breeze whispered through the white strands of his hair, carrying the faintest echo. "Adequate." "Hokage." Tintin rolled her eyes. "Took you long enough to admit it," she muttered to the wind. Naruto laughed, loud and bright, as the sun climbed over a village learning to hope without forgetting its shadows. The hybrid emblem gleams on Naruto's back, Tintin's spear resting against his desk. A weapon, a tool, a promise. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring this what if with me. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Your support truly makes a difference, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Until next time, take care and stay tuned for more.